Okay, so here we are. So we've got the radio here. It came in today. So I haven't opened it yet, so you're going to get to see it opened at the same time as I will. So we know that there are problems with this radio as it's got a cracked housing. So let's just have a look and see how bad it actually is. As we can say, it was also in the listing. It's been untested, and he's been nice enough to put on here to be safe before plugging it in, which of course I won't be plugging it in straight away. I'll be pulling it apart and having a look inside and see what work's been done on it, and also probably change some capacitors, and we'll just see what happens there, and I'll do some testing on it first. Okay, so I'll continue opening it. Anyway, as we can see, it's got this damage here. The crack goes through here and along here, and it's got a big section missing out of here, and it's got a crack through here, down here, and it's got two fins missing now, where originally in the picture it only had one fin missing, so maybe another one's fallen off in transport. I'm not seeing it, but anyway, that's a shame. I'm going to try and fix this case up, and I'm not going to be able to, of course, keep the original looking Bakelite, so I'm going to probably spray it a black, and go from here. And for these sections here, I'm just going to try and mould something that looks similar, and just see how we go from there. It's a bit of a shame that both of those are gone, but anyway, it's no big deal. It is what it is. The screen looks quite good, a little bit of white paint on it. That's definitely going to clean up very well. Nothing on this side, no cracks on this side, and the backs are fine, the flutes are fine here. I have another housing at home which is perfect, apart from this is broken on the back, so there's a good chance that I may use that housing for this one here, for this radio. You know, we'll see what happens. There's no dramas. Okay. I can see it's got a brass screw in the bottom here. Looks like it has been opened before. There's a few scratch marks on the screw. So I will try to find a screwdriver, and we'll open this up and we'll have a look. Okay, so I'm at a friend's house, and they're not here. I'm just house sitting for a little while, so I found the next best thing, a knife. You know, what more do you need to just undo a screw? So we'll undo this screw, take the bottom off. Ah, yes. Now, a quick glance of this, and it doesn't appear to have any new capacitors that I can see. So I've still got the original capacitors in there. I need to find a screwdriver. So take these screws out. Take this radio out. The string's still intact. So you can see this housing hanging on by the front cloth there. There's a screw. But I've got big hopes for this. Yep. Here I'm just going to have to build something behind here, and then probably just use some builder's bog or something like that, and try and fix this up. It's all going to go back into position quite well. As for the radio, yes, the screen, you can see it's got a bulb broken here in the drummers. That's probably because that's where it had the damage, so it probably broke the bulb. See the strings are here. Yep, the dial runs quite freely, runs well. Everything seems to click alright. Turn it around. Yep. Everything's moving, it's got all the valves in it. So what I need to do now is to put it on the test bench and do some testing and change some capacitors. Okay, so I've made a little bit of a stand to put it on the put the radio on, so I can work on this. And my plan is today is to start doing some of the old paper capacitors and the electrolytics. I have received all the new stuff, and well, of course there's more than that, but that's just an example. So I'm going to start taking out some of these and putting these in. So you can see that I've done a few. Got a few this there. Haven't done the electrolytics yet. I've got a couple more to do just over here. And probably some of this wiring here will need replacing because it's the outer sheeting is very crumbly. So that's some of the capacitors there that I've taken out. I'm not going to do any videoing on how to replace the capacitors, the correct soldering procedures and that type of thing. There's plenty of that on the internet to have a look at. So anyway, so I'll come back when I get these other two done. There's just one there, another one back there to do. And I've cut the power cable off, so I'm going to feed a new power cable through there. And eventually I'll put a fuse in here. Okay, so we'll just see how we go with that. Okay, so I have replaced all the electrolytic capacitors. And now all the other capacitors here. And what I'm going to do now is, this is from the transformer, and the wire, the casing around the wire is very brittle, so as soon as you touch it, it's breaking. So this is one I've already fixed here. So I took all the casing off the wire, and now I'm just slipping over some heat shrink. Okay, so I'm just looking at the chassis, the bottom of the chassis where all the components are here, looking at how I'm going to do the new cord for it, and because I wanted to put a fuse in it. I mentioned before that I was thinking of putting it in here. The thing with these chassis is they tend to fit down in the box, so that would probably make it a little bit difficult to get access to the fuse. The way the cabinet works is you'll have on the Kriesler is that you have a shell on the top and a shell that fits over the bottom, and that's how you access the bottom of the chassis. through the bottom shell. So I'm thinking that this might be a better choice for it here. So that way, if you need to change the fuse, then it's just a matter of taking the bottom shell off, and then you've got access to the fuse here. And this is the cable that I'm going to use. This was one that was off an old iron, and it's a cloth covered one, but it's just black, but that'll be fine. So that's going to go in through here, and I'll get it through over to where it's supposed to, onto here, and then secure so it can't pull out. Okay, so as you can see here, I've put this cable in. This is my first radio that I've done, so I'm still learning a few little tricks. This is not something that I would like. I'd like a little brace thing here to hold this cord, or mounted here, or something. I'm not quite sure at this stage. So here's the fuse here. So I'll just show you on the other side. It doesn't look too bad. So this is it here. This is the fuse coming out. I put some heat shrink around it. It doesn't look too bad. As I said, it's not a radio that you can open the back and see the chassis anyway. You have to pull the whole top off. So I'm happy with that. This is, as I say, it's just an experiment. I don't even know if this radio is going to work. It's just that I'm working on this, and just for some experience. Okay, so next what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up on the dim bulb tester with the Variac, and we'll just see what happens, and then start adding some things. I need to add that speaker first, but yeah, anyway, so that's where we'll come back to it. So looking at the speaker here, we can see that there's right here there's a break in the speaker, a crack. I'll have to try and fix this. But the idea is I'm going to put some type of paper over this, and then use a glue. My thoughts are like a wood glue. Some people say that you should use like a paper glue, maybe like an old school glue, something like that. So I'm not quite sure. I have to do a little bit of thought into that before I actually start attempting to repair that. But the speaker itself it seems to be in pretty good condition. Apart from that, one thing I did notice on the output transformer, you can see that the insulation around the wire that goes from the speaker back to the transformer, the insulation's a bit short, so I'll desolder that and put a bit of heat shrink over that. I have noticed that when I was just putting the ohm meter on the ohm meter here, just to check this side of the coil, that I could hear the speaker crackle. So there's something going through. So I think that output transformer must be still okay. Yeah. Anyway, so we'll see how we go with that. So as you can see, I desoldered it from the speaker here and just put some heat shrink on and move the other insulated sheathing up further, just to cover where it was touching the metal on the transformer. And this is what I did on the other side. You can see that there was a few more tears in it than I expected. So what I do is I use this a wood glue, and then I use a cotton bud, and I just dab a little bit on here, and then I find where there's a crack. I have fixed most of them, so I'm just going to find something to show you. So then I just dab it on here like this. It's just a bit of cotton off the cotton bud there on the end there. and then we'll let that dry and we'll just see how things go from there. Okay, so as you can see, there was a few more that I needed to repair. At the moment I've got the output transformer connected to a signal generator, and I'm putting in 700 Hertz at 1 volt, and that's just telling me if the output transformer is working. So you can hear that. There's no guarantees that that's going to be perfect, but at least we know it's not open circuit there. Okay, so now we're ready to try it with some power on it. I've never done this before, so this is a good learning curve. So I've got all the valves taken out. I've put some some bulbs in, dial bulbs, and I've got a variac here, and it's all running through an isolation transformer. So I will turn this off and back. So this is on, one dim bulb, and I've got this turned on. Oh, this is turned on now, and now I'm going to bring the variac up. So we're at 118 volts. The dial bulbs are lighting. So I'm at 200. So 240 there. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Now I'll put the rectifier tube in, and we'll go from there. Put the rectifier tube in, and now I'm going to bring it up on the variac, and we'll just have a look at what happens here. The dim bulb's on. This is on. Power's on here. So go over here. So power on, dim bulb. Okay. And now we're going to bring it up on the variac. Oh, so one dim bulb lights come on. Point. 1 of an amp. I'm at 220 now. 0.2 of an amp. Down 240. Okay, so this is where it got a bit confusing for me. I wasn't quite sure how the dim bulb tester worked, although I'd seen a few videos of it, but I just wasn't familiar with using this type of thing, and I wasn't really reading what was going on, and what seemed to be is the rectifier valve had a short in it, and it was just cooking up the power supply, and I was getting a bit of a burning smell, and anyway, so I worked it all out, and we'll continue watching. But yeah, it was a little bit new to me how it all worked. As you know, I've said before, this is my first radio, so anyway, it was a good learning curve, and I'm looking forward to doing my next one. But anyway, so back to the video, and we'll just see how it all worked out. Okay, so now we might put in the other valves and see what happens. We'll bring the variac up. Okay, so I need to have a look at this and see what the problem is. I sort of do a couple little voltage measurements around here in the dim bulb, and the dial bulbs, and it's not getting enough power. So I put 2 dim bulbs on, and then it's still not lighting. So I thought I'll just bugger it. I'll just press the bypass switch, which I did. You can see that the rectifier valves lighting up. So I've got an antenna plugged on here, so we'll just see what happens. I hear something sizzling, so that's not good. Okay. Oh, yeah, there's electrical smell there. I need to look into that. Okay, so I just thought I would show you how I worked it out, the problem with the rectifier valve. When I turned it over and ran it on full power, I could see this is the wax that was coming out of it, because it was must be a short in that valve. Now, this is why it's good to have a valve tester, but I don't have one, so anyway, that's okay. So appears to be working okay. I hope I haven't done too much damage to that power supply, and as you can see, it's working.
On the 70s lunch break, classic against 2CH of John English words are not enough, but because Queen just ahead of that, so headlining with Lambert as Firefight Australia, the big concert that's on the way to ANZ Stadium February 16. What a lineup! Alice Coop.
With skating superstars.
Just a couple of losing Molossus. Look up there.
But they offered raining and all of that was suicidal. First away was our alley cat to lead out from Missouri. Right there is Royal Charter, then came Cafe Nova. Moving forward is Katie Power, followed out by Unlaced in the centre, wider out in the sprint. Hibernia C got back third last, followed by Fleur de Lis, and with them also is Suicidal, late scratching.
Now I haven't been able to get the shortwave working. Nothing coming through on that. Could be bad terminals in here too. A little bit of static. Yeah. Okay, so that's what it's up to. Okay, as you can see, I've done a fair bit of work on this. I didn't video it all because I wasn't sure how it was going to all pan out. So remember before that this was all cracked through here, and this was completely snapped right off. And then there was a crack right through here, and there's a crack right through, and of course we've got this massive big hole here. Also, it had some fins missing, which I did find one of the fins on the floor, but so what I did is I molded some up. So I used the piece that came out, and I used some plasticine. I will share that in the video at some stage, and then I used some JB Weld to fill up the mold, and then I was left with this little section here. They're not exactly right, but it was all right for the first attempt. I may redo this, so I might just try and fix this up here where it's not quite connecting, but once I paint this, you're not going to really notice it. Of course, this has to be painted because there's no way I'm going to be able to match this broken section here. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to have made this little patch which will go underneath it. Which will go under here. You can see all the JB Weld here where I've welded it all together, glued it all back together, down over here as well. So this patch will go in here, and I will glue this in position, and then from there I will just use some builder's bulk. Let me see. Try and get this round the right way, so that'll just sit in there, something like that, and then I'll glue that in position, and then I'll fill the rest with some builder's bulk, and then sand it all back, so it'll be then all ready for painting. Okay, so we'll come back after I've done all that. Okay, so I put the patch in. I just used some 5-minute araldite. That'll hold it in place, just in here, until I put the builder's bulk on. This is what I'll be using, just this, and I'll patch this in, then I'll sand it back, and then it'll be all ready for painting. Okay, so come back when we have a look at that. So I have the putty in there now, and I've only just done it, so it's still a little bit soft. So once that's cured, then I will start sanding it. I may have to do that a couple of times to get the roundness there, and there's a little bit of a step that has to follow down through here. So anyway, so I'll do that, and then I'll come back once it's all sanded back, and probably once it's ready for painting. Okay. I decided just to paint it. I didn't do any videos in between that and the painting. I had a lot of trouble with the paint wrinkling, but I found out just by giving it dust coats and letting it dry, another dust coat, that seems to have done the job. So it doesn't look too bad. It's maybe not as shiny as I would like it, but it is a satin paint. I can always put a bit of car polish on it, maybe, see how it looks. So that's how it all came out. But I decided that I'm not going to paint the bottom. So this is the bottom as it is. It's in very good condition, and I don't want to ruin the bottom in case I may decide to redo some different things later on or something. So I decided to keep it like this. So it's going to have like a two-tone effect, which I think is going to look good, because the glass in there's like a dark brown colour, and the cloth that I've got in there is a good colour for this, so it'll sort of match all of this. So now it's a matter of start assembling it all. Okay, so this is the finished product. Finally got it all together. It's taken me several weeks because of building dim bulb testers and getting all the equipment to do the repairs and things like that. So now I'm just going to turn it on. I've already had it on, so it shouldn't take too long to warm up. And once this gets going, I'll turn the big light on so it spreads a bit more light. But it's not too bad looking at that now, so we'll see how it goes.
To the second, overall time. 29 have come off the last two overs, so they've been crucial in setting a time.
You know, it's a beautiful material, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, oh, that's nice. Okay, that's a good one. I like.
Okay. Thanks for watching.